one being politics, that where they have not done any harm.
Political prisoner?
Yes.
I was in prison as a young age, being a political prisoner, being a Yippie party leader. He considered me the left-wing radical. I was 19 years old, plagued by bad press and so forth. So I know what it's like.
So in terms of the
in terms of political prisoners, I really don't have an answer for that. But I have to look. That needs research.
Well, now,
because there's been people who told me to legalize drugs.
Yes.
Now, if I took a platform to legalize drugs, I would not win. Possibly. Decriminalize is an ideal way to go.
But in terms
and fine maybe.
In terms of cost, I mean, the people in prison behind drugs, the cost alone, and
you don't have to. I am a firm believer on fining, and I think it's $300 per prisoner per day. It's very costly. They go into corporate. Clifford?
Yeah, it's $1,000 a day.
$1,000 a day.
In jail, city,
That's a lot of money.
state, or federal.
That's a lot of money.
$1,000 a day to
Yes.
go to the Federal Reserve coffers. Get over it. That's
Yes.
the way the rules work.
well, I'm a big fan of security, okay, but not at the risk of taking away people's rights. So
Didn't I bring that? I said that
Right.
there has to be a
Right,
balance.
right,
We don't
you
want
did.
our privacy.
right, but in terms of security, Mr. Ron Paul has mentioned there's a lot of bases that are overseas that we could bring those people back and save that money.
Have jobs.
And jobs.
Have jobs for these people.
Right.
You bring back. That's my.
That's you know, when he talks about this, there's a lot of money that we're spending in terms of us, like Mr. Washington said, why are we, or don't get entangled with these other groups? Defend ourselves, but don't go over there and get in their mess.
$500 billion just in Iraq. $500 billion, the budget that we could save, putting back there. You know what that could do for our infrastructure?
How many children that would feed?
You know how many lives it would save?
Well,
The government wouldn't spend it on us.
speaking of children, in terms of education.
I would be the government.
No, you would not. We the people
All
of
right,
the United States
all right,
government.
yes, but I'm representing we the people.
In
Yes.
terms of the children and education, my question is, would you think that the number one problem is this idea of religion versus, which I have an issue with, versus spirituality or even natural law? I think that in education, if you're supporting things like natural law, which is spirituality, the number one issue with kids is a sense of morality and spirituality. Without that in our education, it's been going downhill all along.
They've taken away prayer now in the schooling system. That way, if the unified prayer, I was looking at a unified prayer where the Christians, Jews, Muslims, all religions be mentioned in a prayer session with children. They'd be mentioned, so it'd be common to say this prayer. Yes, religion is very strong in the American home, and there are many religions, as we probably know. And I think that the school system should not turn away from religion. It should be part of our life.
Well, I wasn't thinking so much in terms of religion, but just natural law, like, you know, like say a government who takes my money without asking. You know, something real basic.
You're talking about IRS or taxation?
There's so many things, but
Yes.
just some basic things. But in terms of self-rule and democracy, I lean more toward a republic. A republic is not self-rule. It is based on law, not democracy.
Based on race.
Based on God's law, okay, and the rights that came from God. And that's what the government is supposed to protect. And those are the rules. It's not self-rule and it's not democracy. Good.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see how we can ever reverse the thing when the Federal Reserve System loans us a debt dollar and gets $4.50 compounded on interest from that point on. So the Federal Reserve System is not federal. It's a system of privately owned bankers that control this
Are
country.
you making a statement or?
Yeah, I'm asking, you do understand this? I want you to know that this is a fact.
There's a lot of things, I'm not perfect. There's a lot of things I will know, all right? And I'll be the perfect one, I guess, when I get to that stage. I don't, only God can be that perfect to know everything.
Well, that's
You
one
have,
thing.
you're entitled, I listen, my thing is, I do listen to people, if you notice.
Look it up. Look it up. The Federal Reserve System is not even listed as federal. It's a private banking system.
But you'll get no argument from me.
Yeah, okay, now, another thing is strengthen the dollar. As long as the industrial complex owns the environmentalists, there will never be a piece of public land. And public land is not supposed to be public land. It doesn't belong to the government.
But
And
don't
no-
forget.
And there's not one mine in the United States owned by an American now.
Don't forget, I am corporate, I'm also environmental. I started an environmental group. So you have to draw a balance somewhere midway. You can't be all environmental and anti-corporate. America is basically corporate, free enterprise, small business, big business, and the environmental people concerned with environmental
But
problems.
the government doesn't own this land, federal land, BLM. That's not theirs. It belongs to the people of Arizona.
I'm listening, no
And-
argument,
and
no argument.
That is just, it's the people's land, it should be the people's land. There's no reason for us to pay $100,000 for a lot when there's millions of acres out there.
Marshall, are you finished?
No, I've got one other thing on Social Security.
I don't know, this, I'm trying to get, see if it's a question.
The lockbox on Social Security is the biggest damn joke in the world. For every dollar that goes into Social Security, the federal government takes it out, puts a treasury bond in there that we owe for down the road. Every dollar that's paid into Social Security is a debt. So I just want you to know that.
I'm listening. Go ahead, Marshall.
1983, Ronald Reagan.
You and I have known each other for about 15 years now.
What's that?
You and I have known each other
30 years.
30 years. Wow.
It's
How time
15
flies.
each, Marshall.
How time flies. Thank you, Marshall.
Hey,
Yeah, time flies. And you've always had wings on your feet. You talk about government programs. In the history of mankind, government programs have never done anything for the people.
I'm listening.
except fake.
Except fail and tax them and destroy them. Every single government, especially democracies, are doomed to failure. You use the word democracy. Democracy, you know what the definition of democracy is? 51% of the people can enslave the other 49%. And that's, actually, it's just a small group who work in government, who are affected by big money interest. Everything comes down to money. It's the payoff. You're not going to be able to have government involved in helping people. Everything in government is racketeers. And the basis of all government, I don't care what country it is. This country.
As you notice, I'm standing here, listening to Marshall. We're friends, with no rebuttal, because he's free speech, entitled to his opinion. Of course, I differ. All right, I'm not going to give an argument, and I'm not going to try to convince you other, because I know how strong you are willed. So I'll listen to you with the understanding of, what my feelings are. You know me for 30 years.
I am not strong-willed.